This is another sign of the times, an analysis, and a commentary. Rising seas could disrupt millions in the United States, study says. Sea level rise, a problem exacerbated by greenhouse gas emissions, could disrupt the lives of more than 13 million people in the United States, 3 times the most current estimates. According to a new study, rising seas, which already endanger coastal communities through tidal floods and storm surges, could rise 3 feet or more over the next century if emissions continue at a high level, threatening many shoreline communities. The study, published in Nature Climate Change, argues that most projections vastly underestimate the number of people at risk because they do not account for population growth. For the study, the authors combined future population estimates with predicted sea level rise, using data from the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration to demonstrate that millions are at risk, 4.2 million if seas rise by 3 feet, or 13.1 million with a 6-foot increase, a high-end estimate. Actually, it could be even much worse. We could see a huge-scale migration if we don't deploy any protection against sea level rise. Recent studies have shown that the sea levels are rapidly increasing, probably at the fastest rate in 28 centuries, and it comes with tidal flooding increasingly frequent, which is already causing headaches in low-lying places, especially in the south. Though sea levels have risen and fallen significantly in the past, scientists say they have been fairly constant for the last several thousand years. There is also a highly regional effect of sea level rise. Of the projected population at risk, nearly 50% will be in Florida, and an additional 20% in other parts of the southeastern United States. In 30 counties, more than 100,000 people would be at risk if the sea level rose by about 6 feet. None of the 22 coastal states in the continental United States, as well as Washington, D.C., will be immune from the effects of sea level rise. The authors predict that the seas were to rise by about 6 feet by the year 2100. More than 1 million people in California and almost as many in New York and New Jersey would be affected, the study shows. The researchers estimated that the cost of relocating the 13.1 million people displaced by sea level rise would be $14 trillion, based on relocation estimates for residents of Alaskan coastal villages. Predictions for sea level rise are often done on a very small scale, while population forecasting is often done at a county or state level. Using census data, the author and his co-authors grouped units similar to city blocks to develop their forecast and assumed that housing development patterns would continue at the same rate. Benjamin H. Strauss, an expert on sea level rise at Climate Central, a climate change research organization, said he believed that the new study overstated the number of people at risk, though he agreed that most estimates were too conservative. The continuation of current development patterns through the rest of the century seems like an unlikely future, Dr. Strauss said, because as sea levels continue to rise and coastal problems become glaringly obvious, coastal development and real estate will have to change. Dr. Strauss also said this flooding model lacked some of the nuance shown in other studies on sea level rise. Different parts of the country will see different levels of sea level rise at certain moments in time, he said. coastal Louisiana and the Chesapeake region will see faster rates of change since the land there is also sinking, for example. Another new study published in Nature Climate Change also highlighted the need for modeling that takes into account how different landscapes will react to sea level rise. The study, conducted by several members of the United States Geological Survey and a researcher from the Goddard Institute at NASA, demonstrates that several ecosystems in the Northeast, such as marshes and beaches, may adapt to sea level rise, possibly undergoing formal changes. Developed or urban areas are more likely to flood or become submerged because of their hardened shorelines. The scientists acknowledged the degree of uncertainty in any of these forecasts. We don't have anything to compare this to. We just don't know how people are going to act. In other words, this could be unprecedented sea level rise, never before seen by human beings in modern times. And again, this too is another sign of the end of times as we know them, transition days, which is a time of extraordinary changes, happenings, and events, because it's still about what kind of world are we leaving to the future generations, and that should be a very important question to ask. Remember, everything is connected and everything is numbered. Revelation chapter 14, verse 14. And I looked, and behold, a white cloud, and upon the cloud one sat like unto the Son of Man, having on his head a golden crown, and in his hand a sharp sickle. 15. And another angel came out of the temple, crying with a loud voice to him that sat on the cloud, Thrust in thy sickle, and reap, for the time is come for thee to reap, for the harvest of the earth is ripe. 16. And he that sat on the cloud thrust in his sickle on the earth, and the earth was reaped. 17. And another angel came out of the temple, which is in heaven, he also having a sharp sickle. 18. And another angel came out from the altar, which had power over fire, and cried with a loud cry to him that had the sharp sickle, saying, Thrust in thy sharp sickle, and gather the clusters of the vine of the earth, for her grapes are fully ripe. 19. And the angel thrust in his sickle into the earth, and gathered the vine of the earth, and cast it into the great winepress of the wrath of God. 20. And the winepress was trodden without the city, and blood came out of the winepress, even unto the horse bridles, by the space of 1,600 furlongs. Revelation chapter 15, verse 5. And after that I looked, and behold, the temple of the tabernacle of the testimony in heaven was opened. 6. And the 7 angels came out of the temple, having the 7 plagues, clothed in pure and white linen, and having their breasts girded with golden girdles. 7. And one of the 4 beasts gave unto the 7 angels 7 golden vials, full of the wrath of God, who lives forever and ever. 8. And the temple was filled with smoke from the glory of God and from his power, and no human was able to enter into the temple until the 7 plagues of the 7 angels were fulfilled. Yes, it's time for the physical and spiritual manifestation of the book of Revelation. And all these are more signs. This is what I see, think, feel, and discern.